Hello and welcome to Fiction Friction, a podcast where we will be talking about reading, books, and also anything else we might want to talk about. I am one of your hosts, Joe.
I am your other host, Bill, and thank you so much for coming back today.
How are you, Bill?
I'm really, really well. I'm busy, but I'm enjoying it. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. If you hear whining at any point during this episode, I don't have a child. I have a feline baby and he's feeling particularly needy today. So if you hear any crying at any point, that's him. He's fine. He's fine. He's just needy. Anyway, on to today's topic. Today we are going to be talking about adaptions. We're going to be talking about some of our favourite books, or maybe not so favourite books, that have been adapted, or things that we would like to see adapted in the future. I mean, before we talk about anything else, I think we need to talk about the massive elephant in the room, which is the adaptation of not Be Right Back, Let's Split Up. Which
Thought you were going to talk about the Hunger Games then because of the new stage show, but
the
yeah, I'll
play?
take it. Yeah.
No. Well, I haven't seen it.
Oh, neither have I,
So,
but I've got my
so,
tickets. Couple weeks
so,
and then I can talk about it.
well, hopefully by the time you go and see it, the building will be finished.
I know. Some of those videos were crazy. Like them still drilling and putting the building together.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. And, well, the other thing as well, I love how we're already going off topic. The other thing that I was so surprised as well is that it is a brand new, custom-built theatre for this show. Brand new theatre, started building this year, and the accessible seats had the worst restricted view and in some cases weren't even accessible.
It makes you wonder how that went through, obviously, so many boards of people, investors, all this sort of stuff, and no one thought, hey, wait a second. It's wild. I don't understand how that got through anything.
Clearly no one thought about it. No one thought about it at all. And I understand, like, spoilers for the Hunger Games stage show, but I understand that they have moving seating, right? So
It's only for some of the districts, I think, as well,
yeah,
right?
it's the district. So the stage is like an oval shape, and the seats at either end of the oval will move out to make the stage like one long promenade. So there's like then seating either side of the stage. So I understand that might have impacted where the accessible seating is, but I still don't think it's good enough. They clearly had no one in the room who was thinking about it, and I do think that's inexcusable. Wow, what a depressing note to start this episode on.
I know, but you know what? It's still preview, so I'm hoping things can be changed before it opens officially.
Well, that is exactly what a preview is for, and like we're talking about something that's completely different to what we intended to talk about already. But what I don't think the general theatre-going audience understand is what a preview is. And I think the confusion on that is in part because of the actual show itself, selling full price tickets for what is a preview. I understand that's perfectly normal now, but I don't think it's acceptable. What you're essentially seeing is an unfinished version of the show. You might sit through a whole thing, they might start the show, there will be an interval and there will be bows at the end. But what you're seeing is not the final product, because in theatre, you never really know how something's going to land until it's got an audience in front of it, really. I did see a video of the director who gave a talk before the show, and he was like, we've only run it once, and we nearly cancelled tonight, which just made me, like, cringe. It made me cringe, because I was like, how do you know that this is going to be any good if you've only seen it once? It made me cringe. Anyway, let's talk about something a bit happier. Let's talk about the TV adaptation of Let's Split Up. Do you know anything that you can say yet?
No, I mean, it's one of those things that one of those industry things where it's just so quiet for so long. I mean, we sold the rights, I think it was the top of this year, so it's been, 10 months now? But there's been talk about it for like another year on top of that. It's very quiet, and it's going to be one of those things where either nothing happens, or if it does, it's just going to all happen at once. Because these things happen all the time. People sell their options and everything like that. And I mean, I'm very hopeful. I had actually a DM from someone who was actually having a meeting about my book with my production company, which was quite interesting. And honestly, I was like to him, just keep me in the loop, because I don't hear anything. So I've got
Which
like a way in now.
Quite frustrating. It's like someone's
It is,
taken your
but
child away.
It is, but it's also like the publishing industry is just like that as well. So you kind of get used to just hearing nothing for ages, especially since releasing in like the US and stuff. That it's so strange considering like they're technically the same publisher, Scholastic UK and US. They couldn't be any more different in terms of communication, everything like that. I mean, it's such a bigger company as well, but you really feel it. But I'm still hopeful, and I mean, hopefully, because
I mean, I do think it's
the
perfect for the
yeah,
medium. So, think
yeah,
my fingers and toes are crossed.
me too, me too, me too.
Anyway, do you have any books that you wish were adapted, and how do you wish they were adapted?
Okay, so I actually wrote a list of some things that first like came to mind, and the first one I think you'll actually agree with. This is I don't know where this came from, but I've actually written down The Marriage Portrait by Maggie O'Farrell. It's the one Maggie O'Farrell book I've read, and I adored it.
Have you
But
not read Hamnet?
no, um, oh wait,
Inexcusable.
no, wait, I did. I read that years ago, but I don't remember it. Um, but I read The Marriage Portrait when when it came out because I was working at Waterstones at the time, and it was like a big deal.
Mm.
Um, and then I was on Reddit earlier just before this episode, and someone said it should be directed by Sofia Coppola, and I was like,
Yeah,
wait, I love that idea.
yeah. I love
So
that idea. If she doesn't go down the like girl boss Marie Antoinette route, but I feel like she won't because
yeah,
it's a darker story.
hmm
Well, no spoilers about what happens to Marie Antoinette at the end of Marie Antoinette. But, I mean, I was going to talk about Hamnet, obviously, because it's one of my favorite books, and it
hmm
sounds like we're getting the most perfect adaptation of it that could ever
yeah,
exist. And I'm very excited about it. I'm very jealous that people have already seen it because it premiered at London Film Festival last week or the week before. Very, very annoyed that it comes out at Thanksgiving in the States and we don't get it in the UK until January, which I think is ridiculous. But I'm still very, very excited that it exists.
it's I've just kind of as soon as something seems like awardsy, I'm like, okay, we're gonna get it like 3 months after everyone else.
Well, yeah, and the hype around this movie is ridiculous. Like, from the first screening, people are like, this is going to win Best Picture, this is going to win Best Actress, it's going to win Best Supporting Actress, it's going to win Best Adapted Screenplay. I really hope Chloe Zhao will win a second Best Director Oscar for it, even though I haven't seen it, because I would love that for her. I think she got a lot of flack after The Eternals came out, and I really like her, and I think she deserves the world.
I adore Chloe Zhao. Like I loved is it Nomadland was the
Yes.
first one, right? And then obviously Eternals. And I was always an Eternals ride or die. I thought it
Yeah,
was a gorgeous movie.
I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I had no problems with it whatsoever. I thought it was great.
Yeah. Directing wise, perfect. And then obviously this, which makes me so much more like I'm still nervous about the Buffy adaptation, but the
Mm.
Buffy sequel even, but because she's behind it, I have so much faith in her that I think it's gonna be pretty good.
But also, what a varied filmography she already has.
Right?
Like,
I feel yeah,
taking
definitely.
a non-fiction book about people living in trailers, and then a big budget Marvel movie, and then an adaptation of a book about the wife of William Shakespeare, and then Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's so interesting because I feel like when it comes to directors, you're either kind of like the Russo brothers, always doing the super mainstream stuff, or you're like, I mean, I guess Christopher Nolan kind of falls in between them. He's kind of an anomaly. But then you've got like the ones that are just very much indie Oscar bait movies. But it seems like she kind of likes to dip her toes in both. And you know what? Good for
Yeah.
her because even like her mainstream stuff is very, very well made.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I haven't seen Nomadland, but I do want to because I just really like her as a person. She seems really cool.
I did watch it because that was my time where I was watching all the Oscar stuff. I still
Mm.
try to, and I remember enjoying it. But it's something. What was it like 2018, 19? It's been a while.
Yeah, I think it was pre-COVID. It was pre-COVID. Anyway, something I would love to see adapted is the Monk and Robot series by Becky Chambers.
Good choice.
I would love to see like an animated. I think of it in the vibes of like not necessarily like aesthetically, but Over the Garden Wall. Is that what that's called? That series, just like 15-minute episodes in this world, because I think visually it would be so interesting. In my head, I imagine it almost claymation-esque, because it's got this sort of like run down, like overgrown aesthetic. And I just think that would be really, really pretty. I love those books so much. I think they're wonderful. I think they could make for a really like nice, heartwarming, like maybe each book would only come to like an hour in like time, but I just think they would be lovely. And I think that would look really nice. And if anyone hasn't read them, they are the most wonderful, cozy, life-affirming books you could ever read.
And they're phenomenal audiobooks as well. If anyone is more averse to if they prefer audio. Yeah, I so agree with that. That one didn't come to mind, but I love those books. I need to reread them. I think they're on my shelf there. You know what? As soon as you said animated, I was like, yeah, because that was on my mind as well. But now that I think about it, did you ever watch The Wild Robot?
I haven't seen it yet, but that is totally the aesthetic that would work for that movie.
And it's literally kind of similar plot-wise, like rundown robots, blah, 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 blah. So I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's interesting actually, because they could go like kids movie route with it, with it, or they could go proper, as you were saying. So I don't know. I think it's got so much like potential, and I really do hope they do something. I want more kind of sci-fi adjacent stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think the aesthetic would be really nice because I love worlds that used to be full of technology that have since like given it up. Like things like Horizon Zero Dawn, which has all these like huge buildings that are like overgrown and stuff. Like I love that idea that there could be all these like rusted mechanical things everywhere that have just been forgotten.
Yeah.
I just think that would be a really cool aesthetic. Another thing I think, completely different idea and this will happen eventually, I think, because of how big this book was. I think we deserve a Yellowface movie.
I think the rights were sold, right?
Yeah, I mean, it must happen. It must be happening.
I was going to write that down myself, but then I thought you'd probably mention it, so I didn't.
Yeah.
But I agree.
Well, I did mention it, but I think it would. I think it would just be really fun. I don't think it needs to be a series because it's not a very long book at all. I think it would be really fun. I think it would. It brings to mind. Did you see American Fiction?
No. Is that was that Common Domingo, or was that something else?
No, it is the one with oh god, what is his name? He's in the Hunger Games, and he's in the last. Why can we never remember the names of anything? It's based on the book.
I haven't seen it.
It's based on Erasure by Jeffrey Wright. That's his name. It's based on the book Erasure by Percival Everett, and it is about a guy who nobody is buying his books. Nobody's buying his books at all. But what he notices is really selling is books that are like stereotypically about Black people. So like they live in like rundown areas. They have big family. They're always in gangs. And he's like, this is really annoying. This doesn't represent what I feel my community is. So what I'm going to do to like really show it to everyone is I'm going to write the most ridiculously stereotyped book you could ever read. And everyone's going to laugh at it and everyone's going to see the error of their ways. But then what happens is he sends it to his agent. And his agent's like, oh, I don't think we should do this. I think we're going to piss some people off. And he's like, no, do it. But then like Penguin wants to buy it for $6 million and everyone takes it really seriously. And he has to kind of live in that world where people, it's such a good movie. It's a really good book. But I think Yellowface very much feels in the same vein as that because it's taking the mick out of the publishing industry. And I think that could be very fun.
I feel like Yellowface could go like either the super mainstream, just easy watching movie route, or it could be super Oscar bait. It just depends on who makes it. Because it's got a bit of nuance there, which it could easily be fumbled as well. Yeah,
and I think I liked Yellowface. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's a perfect book, especially with regards to the ending. So I think an adaptation of it would be a chance to kind of right the things it doesn't necessarily get right.
For sure, yeah. And it's almost if you look at it in like one light, it's like a second chance for the book because they can change stuff. And maybe years later, R.F. Kuang's like, oh, I wish I did this instead. And maybe, I mean, she's got the say now. She can probably be like to the writers, do you want to do this instead? But I'll be there opening day. Probs.
Probs, if it happens. What's next on your list? What else did you have on your list?
I've got a curveball. I don't think you've read this one. Have you ever heard of Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds?
No, I
It
haven't.
is. It was a pretty big YA book in like 2017, I want to say, and I read it 2021, 22-ish, and it is basically a novel set in verse, or told in verse even, which I'd never before this like got on with, but this one I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is literally so short because the book basically takes place in 60 seconds. It's an elevator ride of this. I think he's a kid, like late teens, whose brother's been murdered, and he knows where the person who killed his brother is, and so he's going up to his apartment or whatever, and it's basically the 60 seconds of him battling his demons, whether or not he should go kill his brother's murderer. And I think
Okay.
that concept would make a great film. Obviously, it's a lot of, if I remember correctly, at least it's been a while, he's like seeing his family members from the past in his head and stuff, telling him if he should do this, blah, 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 blah. And he sees his brother. I think it would be really interesting. Obviously, it's going to take a lot of nuance to try and make it work, because obviously it is set in 60 seconds. But
I
I
mean, yeah, I
mean,
don't want to
I
be
think
that
it could be done.
screenwriter. I do not
For
envy
sure.
the screenwriter of that.
Yeah, I mean, they might have to do what they did with like the long walk when they changed their walking speed from like 4 miles an hour to 3,
It's
and
a
maybe
3-hour
make it a
long
tiny bit
elevator
longer.
ride.
No, I feel like you could get away with maybe 5 minutes. I don't know, but like the elevator gets
But
stuck or so. I don't know.
how long, what building has a 5-minute elevator in it?
I don't know, but maybe it gets stuck. Or maybe it does in the book. I really can't remember. It's been a while, but I think that concept is just super fun. And I don't know, I think you could have a lot of fun with like that script too.
Mm. Well, yeah, I imagine it would be like he's in the lift. For our American listeners, lift is what we call elevators here in the UK. And it would be told like through flashbacks and stuff, and all the while you sort of are returning to him in the lift. I guess that's how one would approach it. After Googling it, I actually have heard of it, but I thought it was a graphic novel first. So it has already been adapted into a visual medium.
Yes, there is a graphic novel, which I haven't read, but I think is pretty good.
Another thing I would like to see adapted is Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield. I'm imagining a 24 horror movie, because that book is pretty unsettling. I don't think it needs to go full like Cronenberg body horror, even though it kind of almost, it like walks along the edges of being a body
It's got the
horror.
elements of it.
Well, yeah, definitely. Like it is pretty spooky, especially when it comes to body horror. But I just think visually, I think it would really work, because it's quite a visual book. You know, you're watching this person slowly transform into something else, and I think it would really work. Again, not a series. I don't think everything needs to be series now. I think it would work.
I'm always going to push for a movie.
Yeah, like hour and a half, perfect length, I think, for that, because it's quite a short book.
Yeah, I mean, you know me anyway. I really struggle with TV as it is, because just sitting down, like, oh my gosh, I've got like 9 hours of stuff to watch, especially with like the binge module that is so popular nowadays. I just really struggle to sit down and binge stuff because I'm just always so busy. So like a film for me is just perfect. Like 2 hours and I'm done, and then I can move on.
I either like mini-series of 8 episodes and there's like 2 seasons out, or I'm rewatching, as I said a couple of episodes ago, I'm rewatching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at the moment, which is a massive nostalgia trip for me. I loved this show when it came out, and the first season is not that great, but it gets progressively better as the series goes on. And there's 7 seasons, and apart from the last 2, I think, which are 12, everything else is 22 episodes. And like the way that you tell a story over a 22 episode season is so completely different. So I can kind of afford to just kind of sit on my phone whilst it's on. I don't have to pay attention. At the beginning of every episode, they do that thing where they're like, previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they give you
Which
all the
I
relevant.
miss.
I love that, especially because, well, if you haven't watched it before, and then suddenly in a recap, there's all of these like recap moments about a character that hasn't been in it for ages, you're like, oh well, I guess they're not dead then, or something
Yeah.
like that. But it kind of gives you all the relevant plot points you need. So I kind of don't really need to pay attention, and I do like that. I I am kind of sad that we don't get 22 episode seasons anymore. I think it's mostly for like the 911s and the Grey's Anatomies. But I think also there is just so much content now everywhere that people can't commit to that sort of series if they're not already invested. I certainly can't now. You know, I'm only doing it because it's something I've already seen.
Yeah, it's wild when you really think about it. Like, most shows back in the day were 22 episode seasons with 40 to 45-minute episodes, and they were on every single year. And now we're waiting 3-4 years for an 8-episode season. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
I can't believe, again, talking about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a TV show that not a lot of people have watched, which it makes me sad. I can't believe the level of, like, some of the CGI is not great because it was a TV show in 2014. Some of it's amazing. And I can't believe they were doing all of this, like shooting on locations, CGI, special effects, with a huge cast. I can't believe they were churning this out every year. And now Netflix can't bring out a 6-episode season of television every year. They just can't do it. It's ridiculous.
It beats me. It beats me, honestly. And it makes me a little sad because, like, I think I posted a video about this a couple of weeks ago, but, like, obviously when I sold my rights, I was like, okay, it's going to be like a 6 to 8 episode show, which, yeah, sure. But I'm like, if this had come out 12, 13, 14 years ago, it would be like a Pretty Little Liars, Riverdale. It would be 22 episodes, ridiculous amount of seasons, filler episodes, Christmas specials, Halloween episode, guest stars. Adam Lambert will randomly be in an episode. And I'm just like,
there'll be a musical episode.
Yeah,
but also what
eventually
would have happened, I suppose the difference is nowadays, if that gets adapted, it will be a faithful adaptation, whereas back in the day, they would have taken the central idea and some of the characters they would have added in. They would have been like, oh, well, Buffy's not testing well, so we've replaced her with that dog from The Simpsons that they add in Twitchy and Scratchy or something. Like, it would have been like that. And it would have run for 7 seasons on ABC, but by the end of it, it would no longer resemble the book that you had written.
For sure, yeah. But it does make you think, like, what if? What
if you had been born 10 years ago and you'd released that book 10 years earlier? It would have been The Pretty Little Liars. Another thing I would love to see adapted is Tom Lake by Anne Patchett.
Ooh, good one.
I love that book so much. If you haven't read Tom Lake by Anne Patchett, it is about a woman who works on a farm. I think it's a cherry farm. And during COVID, they can't have any of the workers on the farm. So fair warning, it is kind of a COVID book. You know, your mileage may vary on how you feel about those. I know some people really don't want to read books about COVID yet, but it's not mentioned that heavily. It's only kind of the general conceit is that her 3 daughters have to come back to the farm to work on the farm because no one else can, and there's still a harvest that needs to come in. And whilst they're all sitting down to watch TV, there's a movie on with a really famous actor in it, and the girl's dad goes, oh, you see that really famous actor? Your mum used to date him. And that kind of then becomes the conceit of the novel, is she is telling her 3 daughters the story of how they met and how they dated. It's so good. I think part of what made me want this to be a movie is I listened to the audiobook partially when I read it, and the audiobook is narrated by Meryl Streep, and it's still one of the best experiences I've ever had listening to an audiobook because she's just so good at it. She just has the most listenable voice. I think it's her and Coleman Domingo have the most listenable voices I've ever heard in my life. And also, she's just a really good actress, so I would love to have seen her play this part rather than just listen to it. It's just such a wonderful story, and I think it would really work for the medium because you've got like the modern day sections, which are set in this like gorgeous, I was imagining it like a Nancy Meyers movie. You know how they have kind of like kitchen porn in a Nancy Meyers, everyone has a really nice, I was imagining this big house with a beautiful kitchen, and like she talks about the cherry farm, and like there's this beautiful bit where they go up a hill and there's a tree, and it sounds so beautiful, mixed with the like. I'm going to show you what my cat's just done. You can see him. Look at him. Right, well, he's going to have to get down himself. I've told you you're not allowed up there. Right, okay, well, there might be a huge thump in a minute. But anyway, you have all this lovely like modern day bit mixed with like bits that are set in like the 70s and 80s where she's growing up, this narrator, and she's doing movies, and also she's taking part in this rep theatre that's set on this lake called Tom Lake. I thought Tom Lake was a character when I first started reading it. Turns out it's not. It's the name of a lake where this like rep theatre is. I just think it would really, really work. And I hope it comes true because I think it would be really, really lovely.
I mean, I've not read Tom Lake, but I have read Anne Patchett's, is it The Dutch House?
Yes, I haven't read that one yet.
Yes. I read that while I was at Waterstones, and Tom Lake was just about to come out, and Waterstones were kind of making a big deal of it, and I knew there was like a special edition or something, so I was like, you know what, I'll watch it, I'll read it, and I really enjoyed that.
I'll watch the words with my eyes.
I'll watch them, not take them in, just watch them.
I will just watch the words.
Yeah. Do you think it would be sort of like a very Oscar baity movie then?
I think so, but the thing is, with stuff like that, I worry that they make it too Oscar baity. I think the worst culprit for this over the past few years has been the Dear Evan Hansen movie. Like, you know, when they take something that's serious and they make it even more serious, you can so tell that Ben Platt just so desperately wanted to get an Oscar with that movie, and it was kind of all made by his dad just so Ben Platt could get an Oscar. I don't think that's a controversial opinion. I think that's very much like how people feel about it. But it just crashed and burned and went terribly, and it was a truly, truly terrible movie. So I worry, what I think they should just focus on is just making it nice and cozy and trying to tell the story as well as they can. Because I think it's a really wonderful story. And that's kind of what I hope they do with it, rather than worrying about making it. Because it's not a serious story at all. I hesitate to say fluffy because it's not fluffy. What it is, it's just about people's lives, and it feels very real, and I hope that's what they capture if it ever does get adapted. Do you have anything else that you wish to see adapted?
Yeah, and it's quite funny because after Anne Patchett, it's literally the opposite end of the scale. I recently read The Scarlet Gospels, which is basically a sequel to Hellraiser. And I think it would make such a fun film because it's ridiculous. So if you don't know, Hellraiser is based on, well, loosely based, kind of medium based on Clive Barker's novella, The Hellbound Heart, which is great. Obviously, I think I'm trying to remember the whole story, but he wanted it adapted, but then he just thought, you know what, I'm going to adapt it myself because I don't trust anyone.
You tell the people about this whilst I get my cat down off the bookshelf.
Okay.
So you just vamp. You just fill the time for a minute. Well, I'll be back.
Okay. So he adapted it himself, and the book is pretty accurate to what happens in the film, except they change a couple bits, like Pinhead is never mentioned by name, but this sequel came out in like 2015, and it's almost like a sequel to the movie because Pinhead is mentioned by name, and it's very much like going off from what the film's built and what the fans love. And this book is just bonkers. There's like magicians, there's everything in between in this book, and it would make a weird film, and I don't think it realistically ever would get made because it really is not commercial. I mean, Hellraiser has never been really commercial, but is any horror? But anyway, I don't know. I think it would be a really fun film, and I don't know who would make it. Me, I'll make it. I spoke to them.
Oh, wonderful. He's laid down, so I guess that's just where he lives now. So wait, you're telling me that there have been multiple Hellraiser movies, and they didn't think to base a single one of them on the sequel to Hellraiser?
Well, I was just saying this sequel only came out in 2015, and it is like...
Okay. There has been a Hellraiser movie since then, though.
Yes, but these... So since 2015, there was like, I think there was one in 2017, which was almost like they only released to keep the rights. And then the rights ended up reverting back to whoever it was. And then Hulu made the reboot, which was pretty good. but this was basically a sequel to the original film because Pinhead is mentioned, and in like the novella, Pinhead doesn't really have a name. That's kind of something that the fans came up with. But it's all about magicians and going to the underworld, and it's just so weird and gay. And I think it'd be a really fun film.
If there's a way to get me to read something, it's to call it weird and gay. I mean, I will say I do think that the term pinhead is not very scary.
No, like I think more so in the book they'll refer to him as like the priest. But Pinhead is obviously very synonymous with the franchise now, so I think even Clive Barker's just come to terms with it.
Do you have anything that has already been adapted that you would like to get a do-over?
I mean, Aragon, that's literally just come to mind.
Yeah, the movie was not great, was it?
Yeah, but you know what was great? The PS2 game.
Hey, I had it on Nintendo DS. I don't
was
remember
so
anything
fun.
about it other than the fact that I had it. He's out from behind the shelf, so I'm going to get him down.
Quick.
No. He went behind them again. I'm just terrified about what happened last time. They all fell off, and it was really scary because he did it at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I thought the world was ending. Anyway, Aragon, yes. I remember the book. I've only read half of the book because I had a movie tie-in edition that was in my school bag, and my water bottle leaked and it destroyed it. And I don't even mean like when a book kind of gets like water. I mean like the pages just fell out. They just fell apart. Like it looked like it had been through a washing machine. So I never finished it.
The Aragon books are I mean, everyone says this. They're literally a culmination of kind of like every fantasy trope and trend of the time.
But
and
it's basically like
he was
Star
so
Wars
young
with dragons, isn't it? It's Star Wars with dragons.
Yeah, he was so young when he wrote them as well. Like they were self-published. They were like huge successes. So like good to him. Good to him. Power to him. I don't know. But the film is just so generic, and I think you could have done so much better with it. Like some of the casting was brilliant. But yeah, the
Jeremy
game
Irons
was just the better adaptation. Yeah,
Jeremy Irons is in it, isn't he?
Yeah, and then I swear the dragon is either I always forget if it's either Kate Blanchett or Rachel Weisz, and every time I think about it, I'm like, I can't remember.
It's Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
John Malkovich. He plays the baddie, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's some great casting in it, and I think they just went too over the top with the generic everything else. But yeah, the game was the better adaptation anyway.
It's funny you say that. I remember the game more than the movie, to be honest. But
so do I, really.
It's been a long time. When did that movie come out?
2007, 6?
2006. Yeah. 2006.
I mean, I watched it when I was 6, and even I realized it wasn't very good.
It's funny you should say that about like fantasy series from the early 2000s. I want a Spiderwick Chronicles adaptation that actually adapts the books, because we've had 2 now. We've had a movie and a series, and neither of them have properly adapted the books. The movie is
Have you watched the series?
I haven't watched it because I saw that it loosely adapts it, and I was like, I don't want this. I get that they're probably trying to do it because the books, let's face it, are pretty short and could only probably cover like 1 to 2 seasons of television. So they want to try and like elongate it. But there are actually 3 more books now. So there's the original 5-book series, and then there's 3 more that don't follow the same characters. But I want the books adapted. I don't want them to change the end at the last minute like they do with the movie, or adapt the first book and then the rest is just like essentially fan fiction. I don't want that. And I don't understand how we've had 2 adaptations and neither of them have gotten it right. So
I mean, I will say that film like raised me as a kid. I used to watch that film over and over.
I loved the movie, but again, it's not the books. It's the first 3 books, and then the ending.
Wasn't it like a Nickelodeon film as well?
It was a Nickelodeon movie, yeah. When did that movie come out? I reckon that was about the same time.
Maybe 09, 08?
2008. So I would have been.
Yeah. Well, I'm good at this.
I would have been 11 when that came out.
What month did it come out?
It would have been summer. I'm incorrect.
So
February.
I was.
February.
Oh, I was 7 then.
I was so excited. We went to. Do you remember when they used to do previews for movies? Which I don't think they still do anymore. It would be like previews. You'd see it on the side of a bus. It would say previews on the 11th and the 12th. Release 19th or whatever. Yeah, I went
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
yeah,
I've
we went to
literally
a preview.
never realized they disappeared.
Yeah, we went to a preview because I was so excited, and I did love it, but it adapts the first three and then just completely changes the ending. Which I wanted to see the elves. The elves are what I was really excited about, and it changes them into
Yeah.
this tiny little wispy things, which is not the same. Not the same. One thing we're still waiting for is the Atlas 6 TV series. What happened
Forgotten
to
about
that?
that, honestly.
Yeah, like I remember Olivia Blake announcing it when the second book came out. She was like, "Yeah, Amazon are doing it. It's happening. Where is it?" And I kind of feel like the moment has passed, kind of.
Honestly, I'd forgotten about the Atlas Six. I only read the first one, but I enjoyed it enough to like be interested in a show.
Mm.
Was it a show? I'm assuming. Did you say
Yeah, it was going
show?
to be a TV series.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I mean, I love the series, but I do feel the moment's passed because a lot of people didn't like the third book. So, what's the point in starting a series no one's going to like the end of?
Again, though, with the adaptations, you can change things.
I don't know if you can. By that point, you're making completely different end. So, like, again, what's the point in calling it that if it's not that? One thing I did put on my list that I would like to see adapted is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And then I found out there is actually a Before the Coffee Gets Cold movie.
Who's doing it?
It came out in 2018. It's Japanese. It's fully Japanese.
Oh,
So
oh, yes, I did know this.
I'd have to find a subtitled one if that exists because it's never been released over here.
Yeah, I mean that was also like before it kind of blew up here, so I wouldn't be
Mm.
surprised if they then do something here as well.
Yeah, but I don't really want it dubbed unless it's going to be like the Ghibli dubs, which were really, really good. I'd rather just watch it with
Let's go back to
subtitles.
Robert Pattinson's in the newest one. He was so good in that film, and
It
I
was
don't
so
like
good.
dubs normally.
I normally won't watch something with dubs. However, the Ghibli ones, they pay like they really, really do it well. They really do it well, which I think you can see by like the caliber of cast they always attract to them. Yeah, it had Robert Pattinson, Florence Pugh. What was it called over here? Boy and the Heron.
Yeah, I've still not watched it, but
It's
I have
so
seen many a
good.
clip.
Christian Bale, like it was so good. Gemma Chan, Mark Hamill, Willem Dafoe, Dave Bautista, Dan Stevens. Like, you don't get that in any other dub. Because I remember when Squid Games was first coming out, people were like, don't watch the dub because it doesn't truly represent what they're actually saying, which is, I think, always the problem when you watch a dub. But I think the Ghibli ones are really, really, really good normally.
Yeah, I mean, when I showed Ted, my little brother, I think I've shown him like 2 or 3 Ghibli movies now. I always like, to be fair, I think for Spirited Away we did the dub just because I wasn't sure if he was actually going to like be invested. But then we've done just the normal with just subtitles afterwards, and I do think that's still the way.
Like they say, subs not dubs, don't they? That's the thing they say. But I think with Ghibli, the dubs are acceptable because they just are so good. So yeah, I would need to find a version of Before the Coffee Gets Cold that has subtitles because it definitely hasn't been dubbed.
I'm
Because
sure it's
I don't
out
think
there.
I don't think it ever was released here. So I don't think I'd even be able to buy it on DVD. But then again, no one does
Let's
that anymore, do
email.
they?
Yeah, I do. I still buy my DVDs.
Yeah, I still buy DVDs as well. Physical media people. The one thing I'm really sad we will never, ever, ever see, it will never happen, ever, 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 is we will never get any form of adaptation of The Secret History. Do you know the story about the Goldfinch movie?
I I've definitely heard it before, but my mind isn't letting me remember.
So Donna Tartt's agent convinced her that the Goldfinch would be like perfect for a movie. They made it, and they made it like really Oscar baity. They made it really
And it was awful.
serious, and it was awful. It was
Yeah.
really, really bad. And she fired her agent, the agent she's had for her. I don't know if it's her entire career, but she fired the agent she's had for years and years and years and years over this movie. And she was like, they're never. Yeah, her longtime agent doesn't say how long. She's like, they're never making a movie out of anything I've ever written ever again. So we'll never see it. The Secret History will never be adapted, which makes me really sad.
I
But
mean,
also, like, that is such a Donna
it
Tartt thing
was
to do, isn't it?
it was also like just a terrible film.
Yeah. What, the Goldfinch?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and like that does happen, doesn't it? But it just makes me sad. It is weird reasoning to be like, well, that one film was terrible. That means all of them will be. So never again. Like
Well, I
I
think
have.
it's because they put so much behind it and made it so Oscar bait that
Mm.
they really did do their best, and then that was the best they could do. It's kind of crazy.
Also, they cast Ansel, what's his face, in the lead, who I just think is terrible. I always want to call him Ansel Englehort, but that's not his name.
I'll forever be livid because he was obviously cast in West Side Story, and if it wasn't
Yeah.
him and that controversy, that film would have won every fucking award.
Well, I just think as well, it came out in the wrong time. It came out peak COVID when no one was going to the cinema. No one watched it. I went to the cinema to see it because I love West Side Story. Um, and well, it's hard watching the balcony scene in West Side Story because you've got Rachel Zegler, who just sounds like the most pure, most beautiful voice in the world, and then it cuts to him going, it's just terrible. It's just so bad and so cringe. It's so
Yeah.
cringe. It's so cringe.
It's one of those things because obviously, because they went for like the undiscovered actress for Rachel's part, and they're like, oh, okay, we need to balance it out with like someone well known, and then they pick Ansel Elgort. I'm like, you
Yeah.
could have picked anyone else.
Well, also, like, well, they literally could have picked anyone else. The thing is with West Side Story is they're supposed to be so young because they're supposed to basically be like early 20s, late teens. And that's what makes the story so sad. And I think, apart from him, I think that movie is absolutely incredible. Sacrilegious to say, I know. I do think it's better than the original.
I've
because you
watched
don't
it
have,
more than the original. Yeah.
yeah, well, you don't have all the people browning themselves up, basically, and doing quite bad accents. You have the added layer, which they didn't know at the time because it was contemporary. You have the added layer of these gang wars happening and the futility of the entire neighborhood they're fighting over is eventually destroyed like 3 or 4 years after the events of the movie happens, which I think just adds a whole other really important layer to the movie. I just think it's really great. I think it's really great. And if you just kind of close your eyes and go la 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 every time Ansel, what is his name? Because it's not
Ansel
Ansel
Elgort.
Elgort. Okay, I'm still going to call
Yeah.
him Ansel Englehort just because I think that's funnier.
It's what he deserves.
It's what he deserves. Do you have anything else on your list?
Actually, yeah. Actually, I've got two more. Which one's more interesting? Right, shall I just rapid fire both of them?
You
Just
can rapid
so
fire both
we're
of
not
them, and
here
if
forever.
I think if either of them are boring, I will cut them.
Okay, so the first one, purely out of selfish reasons, I want like kind of more of a Van Helsing sort of movie, and I think the book that could do it is Silver Under Nightfall by Rin Shepeko. It has that sort of dark fantasy vibe, which I so much miss in film. I feel like the closest we've had recently was like The Green Knight, which was great, but it's not the right vibe. Maybe like look wise it was there, but I don't know if like I like that sort of 80s dark fantasy and then like the campiness of Van Helsing. I think Silver Under Nightfall would make a really good version of that. And
I
then
loved
also,
Van Helsing. I loved that movie so much when I was
yeah,
a kid. I used to have it on VHS. I haven't watched it since like probably being an adult, and if I watched it now, I'm too scared to because it's probably terrible.
I mean, it's you watch it and you realize, yes, it's not a great film, but it just looks just so camp and
Yeah.
fun, and I love the creature design in it. And I wish they'd done more of them because they are just, I just love that whole aesthetic, really. But my other one is for my thriller girlies out there. I was trying to think of like a Holly Jackson book, and the one I actually picked in the end was The Reappearance of Rachel Price, which came out last year. I think it was last year's release or the year before, one of the two. And this one basically follows our main character whose mom got kidnapped or disappeared 16 years ago. And it's like 16 years later, present day. And our main character's now a teenager. And it's kind of like a Netflix sort of situation. I'm making a documentary about her disappearance, and then 16 years later, she just turns up one day with this story, and no one really knows if she's telling the truth because it seems really sus. And I think I picked this one in particular, one because I think the mystery, there's loads of fun twists which would make a really good film, but or maybe a show, I don't know. But I feel like if you wanted to make it really stand out, you could really lean into the whole documentary aspect of it, almost have like a found footage sort of vibe to it, um, just to give it that kind of different flair. I think that could be such a really fun thing.
Well, almost like a mockumentary they could do.
Maybe, yeah. And then,
Yeah.
like, when obviously they're not filming officially, you can have sort of like vlog styles, you can have a Blair Witch sort of thing.
Mm.
I don't know. I think it could be quite fun, just something to make it stand out.
Well, my favorite season of of American Horror Story was almost the oh god, what was it called?
You can say
Roanoke. Roanoke. I loved the first half, which was the fake documentary, and then it just evolved into nonsense, and I hated it. The first half was so good, and that's kind of the vibe maybe they could go with. I mean, they've started adapting Holly Jackson stuff, you know, because A Good Girl's Guide to Murder exists now and was fairly well received, I think.
Yeah, I mean, this book is so different as well. I feel like you could really not age it up in terms of like the characters, but make this a little bit darker because I think the story is. I mean, the Good Girls Guide to Murder books get really dark, but they've obviously gone with a more of a light-hearted teen vibe for the show,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think you could definitely have sort of like two different vibes with her works, and Rachel Price could be a little bit darker. And I think it's the way to go.
One final thing I kind of wish we could see adapted, just because I think it would be really interesting for the medium change, talking about like mockumentaries and stuff, is Biography of X by Catherine Lacey, which is one of my favorite books. It is a fake biography of an artist called X that is written by the widow that this artist has left behind because she's recently died. A biography has come out about her, which is really, really, really wrong and infactual and just gets a load of stuff wrong, is really sensationalist. So the widow sets out to write her own, and in doing so just learns so much about the woman she thought she knew. It's about like what we let artists get away with for the sake of art. It's about how much of ourselves is performance. It's about the things that we hide from people. And I just think that because it's written as a real book, like it's written as a real biography, I just wonder how the medium change would affect that. And I think it would be really cool. I think they could make like a mockumentary as if this was a real person. And I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think any time an adaptation is doing something different, or like it, like when you hear about it, you're like, oh yeah, I see why they're adapting that. I'm here for it. I think sometimes films get made. I'm like, what? But what is this adding? You know?
Well, did you see that this is a rumor, by the way, that the Moana live action remake is a shot for shot remake of the animated movie?
I didn't hear that, but it doesn't surprise me at all.
What is the point?
Yeah,
I mean, they've already
it's money.
Yeah, I mean, that is the point, isn't it? That is, I mean, to be fair, they kind of already have been leaning that way anyway. One of the most boring experiences of my entire life was The Lion King. I fell asleep twice, and I never fall asleep in the cinema. And my brother woke me up, and then I fell asleep again. It was so boring because the whole time I'm sitting there like, I've seen this, I've seen this, I've seen it, I've seen this. I was so bored. I was so bored. I don't think I've ever enjoyed any of the Disney live action remakes.
I think the only ones that I can say that I've enjoyed were the Maleficent ones because they're actually doing something different, and it's not really a story. Like the first one obviously is kind of like a different iteration of the Sleeping Beauty story, but again, it's doing something different. When it comes to Lion King, I very much agree on the first live action. The second live action I enjoyed because it was a new story, but it's also
it's
like
brand new. Yeah,
but it's also like nothing out of this world. Like I definitely could have gone my entire life without watching it. But then you compare that to the original animated film. I needed to see that to progress in life. That
well,
that was
what
one
I
of those
think-
films that was always on as a kid.
Mm. What I think is different about Mufasa, the prequel, is they actually made the animals emote in their faces a bit more.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereas when you watch the first live action, I'm doing air quotes, Lion King, the famous shot, the like dolly zoom of Simba when he sees the stampede coming towards his dad, and it like dolly zooms, and the animated lion is like doing a shocked child face.
Yeah.
When you watch that I've seen people do a side by side comparison. It just is a dolly zoom on a cat just sitting there completely emotionless,
Yeah.
and it's
He
just
could be depressed for all we know. Yeah.
yeah. He could be happy. We just don't know. We just don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to say we're moving towards the end of the podcast because we're probably going to talk for a really, really long time now about other stuff. But right now, we're
It's
going
what
to
we
talk
do.
about that's what we do. We just love to yap. We've already been talking for nearly an hour. We're going to talk about one thing we've been reading, one thing we've been watching, and one other thing we've been doing. William, what is the thing that you have been reading? And if you say the Hex Girls book, I'm going to cry.
I've actually still not finished it. But that is because deadline is kicking my ass. I am actually reading When We Were Monsters by Jennifer Niven. I don't think I was reading that last time we filmed.
No, you won't.
But I am reading this because I'm chairing an event that she will be at in November. If anyone's in the Birmingham area, come see us, the House of YA Penguin panel thing. And it's really fun. Jennifer Niven wrote All the Bright Places, which is a very, very different genre of book. It was made into a film, I believe, with, I think it was Elle Fanning, actually. But this is thriller, dark academia-y, and it's really fun. And I'm having a blast with it. So I'm excited to ask her questions about it. That's what I've been reading. What about you?
I'm going to take this time to do a little October wrap up, if that's okay. Because I've read
Go
loads in
for it.
October. I've read loads. I'm not going to talk about everything I've read because I've read 7 books. So I'm not going to talk about everything. I'm going to talk about some highs and some lows. I read Ring Shout by P.
Yeah,
Shelley
I've
Clark.
wanted to read that.
I liked it a lot. It's not perfect. It's not perfect at all. So much happens in it, and it's, I think, around the 200-page mark. It either should have been like a proper novella, or it should have been like a 300-400-page book. But it's very good. The characters are really great. I think the world is really great. It's really, really fun. If you haven't heard of Ring Shout, it is set in an alternate history where some members of the Ku Klux Klan are actual demons from a hell dimension, and there's like a little group of people who are trying to fight them. It's very fun. I think it's a very fun concept that's executed really well. Yeah, I just wish the pacing was either I wish it was either longer or that the author had cut a lot of stuff, because a lot of stuff happens in this book and it's very, very short. One thing that I read this month that I really, really, really was disappointed by was Tell Me I'm Worthless by Alison Rumfitt. This is a haunted house story, but the haunted house is fascism. I went into it with very, very high expectations because people have told me that it's amazing. And sadly, I just came away from it feeling really underwhelmed. I think it's a case of, well, firstly, I think it's a case of people hyping it up too much. And I always think that kind of always does the book a detriment in the end, unless the book is absolutely incredible. And secondly, I thought the character work and the prose was amazing, but what I thought let it down was it was just the most unsubtle book I've ever read in the world. And the author really, really, really wanted you to come away with exactly what she wanted you to come away with, which I always think is a problem with a book when you're trying to do something allegorical. I think when you like bludgeon your reader to death with, this is what I'm trying to say to you, I think it does the book a disservice. And so sadly, I was quite disappointed by that. But thirdly, I have also read Heart the Lover by Lily King, which I absolutely loved. I loved it so much. It's about a girl who is, I love the subgenre of girl goes to uni to study English, but the rest of her life is completely fucked up. That is a subgenre of book I really, really love. And that's kind of all I'm going to say about it, because I think it has a lot of like nice little surprises and stuff in it. But it very much reminded me of Tom Lake by Anne Patchett, which is why I really liked it.
I've read Writers and Lovers. Right?
Oh, I love
that the
Writers
right-
and Lovers. Yeah.
I've read that one.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that.
Very similar vibe. Very, very similar vibe to that. She basically says, well, with the proof I got, it came with a letter that said she was writing a book that she really wasn't like feeling very good about. And then she read Tom Lake and it made her want to write a book that had a similar feeling to that. And it really does. It's so sort of heartwarming and very true to life. And I really loved it. Really, really loved it. Anyway, William, what have you been watching?
What did I went to the cinema last week. What did I see?
You saw One Battle After Another.
I did. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really fun. It's weird. Like whenever I go see a long film, I have to like mentally prepare myself for it. Like I remember when I saw Oppenheimer, amazing experience, packed cinema, but like I loved the film. It was one of my favorites of the year. But after I left the cinema, I was like, I really felt that time length.
Well,
But with
also
One Battle After Another,
Oppenheimer is like a heavy film. It's dealing with some
yeah,
very
for sure.
serious stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, when I finished One Battle After Another, I was like, I could have sat there for like another hour. I do think I wish it was like half an hour longer, which is
Yeah.
wild considering it is like nearly a 3 hour movie. And I'm sure cuts probably happened in the editing room. But I thought it was great. It was such a fun film, which I don't think it's really marketed right in that sense, because it's obviously an Oscar bait movie and like for good reason. It's a really well made film, but it's just a really fun one. And like after I came out of it, because I know like my dad's super particular about the films he watches, and I'm like, he would have enjoyed that even, which is like
Yeah.
high praise coming from me. I don't know, like performance wise as well. I was just in awe of some of the acting in that film, and highly recommend it if you're intrigued.
We can talk about it for a bit longer because that was also the thing I was going to talk about
Okay,
that I've
awesome.
been watching. I do agree that it could have been longer because I felt the first act felt incredibly not rushed, but it felt like he was going like, let's get all of this out of the way so I can get to the part of the movie that is the story. It felt super, super, super quick. Not in a bad way, because I feel like by the end of that first act, no spoilers because it's still in cinemas and I think people should go and see it. By the end of that first act, before the time jump, we know exactly who everyone is. We know who what their motivations are, and I think it sets it up all very well. I think we could have done with a bit more time in that part of the movie. I also wish Regina Hall, sorry, had had more to do in the sort of back end
I
of the
agree.
movie. Um, because I feel like her character gets a bit of a short, like, grift of it. Like, I feel like she is mostly kind of there to move the plot along in the back end of the movie. And I wish she'd been
Yeah,
given a bit more to do because I felt like her character was going to have a bit more of a conclusion, which she doesn't really get.
I agree. And I feel like there may have been more scenes that have gotten cut in the editing room, and I don't know, it just gave me that vibe because she
Yeah.
does just disappear after a while. Like she obviously has like a send off, but yeah, it's just really strange. And it also makes me question whether or not Teyana Taylor actually filmed more scenes as well, because there is the time jump and stuff, but I do think it's a little strange that we never saw her again. Obviously it's kind of realistic.
Mm. Oh
Um
yeah, see, I didn't find that strange at all.
I don't know. I think not having her in there was the right choice, but it does make me wonder if they did film more scenes with her in the future or not.
Yeah, I definitely feel like there was maybe some more stuff we would have seen, but I wonder if it might have been cut because it had nothing to do with the rest of the characters. Because once we get after that time jump and things start really ramping up, we are kind of just on one narrative. Not necessarily. There's little branches, but it is all one. It's not like one thing's going on over here and one thing's going on over there. It's very much this is what's happening. We get little with the Christmas group, we get little like subsects, but it is all kind of in service of one story. And maybe having her doing something else would have kind of gotten rid of any tension that was going on.
The Christmas group, actually, as we were watching the cinema, I was with one of my really close friends, and we were just sitting there like, this is crazy, like how these actors are able to just act so racist.
Yeah.
But then I was sitting there just thinking about that whole organization, and I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, people are very openly racist nowadays anyway, but I'm like, oh my gosh, there's probably these underground organizations around at the moment because it's obviously based off something or to
Yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
extent. I'm just like, that is crazy and
Well, I have the
makes the film
book.
even more realistic.
I bought the book yesterday. It's based on a book called Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. And, I looked up because I saw that the author said it's like inspired but not based on it. But so I did read a little bit of the plot online to see if I would actually be interested in reading it. And it does seem to like kind of follow the same ideas and the same, not fully follow the same plot. But it's wild that a book that came out in 1990 is still like quite relevant, like almost 35 years later. The person I do think, controversially, I actually don't think Leonardo DiCaprio was that great in this movie. He's not bad by any stretch. He's not bad. I don't think he's given anything incredibly meaty to do that kind of made me pay attention to him more than anyone else in the movie. I do think the women carry it. And I do think that Sean Penn was absolutely incredible in it.
His character, I think, was actually, considering like what type of character he was, he did add a lot of like the comedy to the film.
Yeah, he did. It's especially when he is probably, I would say, the funniest part of the film. But he's terrifying in it. You would go from like being like, oh, what an idiot, to like, there's moments in the end of the film where I was not like scared of him, but I was like, he would be a horrible figure to be in a room with, because he's just so unpleasant, but he's just so good in it.
I mean, there's the scene with him and I forget the character's name now, but it's Chase Infinity, her name in real life, when they're in the church.
Yeah, that's exactly the scene I mean.
Oh, I was sitting there. I just felt icky the whole time watching it.
Definitely think he's going to win some awards for this, because I just thought he was great. I just thought he was really, really great. Anyway, what's one thing you've been doing?
Well, actually, I have prepared something to say this week.
Good.
I have, since yesterday, started making bread again.
Amazing.
I hadn't made it for months, and then my sourdough starter has been in the fridge sleeping for all this time, and then when was it, like 4 or 5 days ago, I took her out and I started feeding her again. She's called Doja Cat. Get it?
Yeah, I do. Not a difficult pun to figure out. So yeah, I do get it.
But then I'm baking her tonight, so hopefully she doesn't flop.
Hopefully Doja Cat does not flop. I tried to make a loaf of gluten-free bread last week because I'm gluten intolerant, and what I brought out of the oven was the most solid lump that also somehow was still raw. Like, it was solid on the outside, and I cut into it and the inside like pooled out.
Maybe focaccia. Maybe you need to do that instead.
I just, baking with gluten-free flour is just really, really hard. You can't
I've never tried it.
You can't sub it out. It's not like you just take, because I made a pizza base the other day with gluten-free flour, and that worked really well. What I find gluten-free flour likes is just not being worked at all. Like, you just have to do as little work as possible to it, and then it likes that. It's not very
well.
needy.
If anyone has any tips, DM Joe.
It's not, William. I said it's not very needy.
Yeah, I don't care. DM Joe. He needs the help.
No, it's a pun.
I know.
I gave time to your Doja Cat one. Anyway, since you asked, the thing that I've been doing is I have been replaying Cyberpunk 2077, which is one of my favorite video games of all time. I really, really love it. Do you know anything about this video game?
Wasn't it really buggy when it came out or something? I feel like this is all I know about it.
Yeah, this is like it's the most infamous video game launch since like the ET video game. So do you right, whilst I mentioned it, do you know anything about the ET video game? It's like one of the most infamous video game launches of all time. So basically, when ET came out in the 80s, like 1981 or 2 or whenever it came out, they were like, we think we should do a tie-in video game because people will like that. I think that will be fun, because that like video games weren't huge back then. Like, obviously they had a dedicated fan base, but it wasn't like now. You weren't getting like 30 million people playing the same game. But basically, by the time everything was sorted out, the one guy who was developing it, because it was made by one guy, had a month to make a video game to be shipped out for the Atari, I think. And it was one of the most terrible video games that had ever come out. Like, it was so bad. It was just like block screens, and this little ET would move between like 4 different screens. It was just really bad. It sold so poorly, people returned it. So basically, to write it off, Atari dumped hundreds of thousands of cartridges in the middle of the desert and poured concrete over them. And they were found in like 2014 or something. Like, people went out and looked for them and found them, and have since, it's become like a cult thing. People now play the ET video game. But anyway, off topic, but it's like been the most infamous launch since then. I actually, when it first came out, had no problems with it. It's set in this like cyberpunk world, obviously, where people can modify their bodies, and basically you play as this like grifter or mercenary for hire who is tasked with stealing this data chip. And things go wrong, so you put the data chip in the slot in the back of your head, but it turns out that this data chip you've been tasked with finding is a thing called the soul killer, which kills your soul essentially. But on this chip is an engram or like construct of an old famous rock star played by Keanu Reeves. And if you don't solve how to get rid of it in time, Keanu Reeves is going to take over your body and kill you. And it's really great. I really love it. I've put about 130 hours into it. I just really, really enjoy it. I think it's a really, really well constructed world. It's a really well told story. It looks beautiful. I'm sad that people kind of wrote it off when it came out and was very, very buggy, because that wasn't the developer's fault. It was the shareholders' fault, who were basically like, we've spent too much money on it now. You have to get it out. And it did it a disservice. They're making a sequel as well, so I'm hoping the same thing doesn't happen. But I really, really like it and I really enjoy it.
I mean, I've always wanted to play it. That's one game, like before, like I've got a PS5, and before I'd only got a Mac, and I've only ever had Mac because it's just what I use for work. But in the past, when I got this new PC like 2 weeks ago, and I can finally play games. I mean, I've played WoW since I was like 8 anyway, but that's literally the only game I had room on my computer for storage. But now I'm playing more games, and it's been really fun. And I'm like, feel like I'm finally catching up on things that people have been playing for years.
You started at the beginning. You started with Pong, and you'll slowly work your way through.
Yeah, Tetris is next week, and then I'll go from there. But actually, I do want to mention, because it's been really fun. I've been playing this game called Fellowship, which just came out last week, and it's basically for anyone who's ever played WoW in their life. There's a component of WoW called Mythic Plus, which is like dungeons which infinitely scale, and if you complete a dungeon in a certain amount of time, you get score, and then you can keep going plus 30 blah blah difficulty. They've basically took that premise and made a whole game from it called Fellowship, and you can pick like tank, healer, DPS, and it's been so much fun. Highly recommend it. Everyone's kind of talking about it right now, but I do think it's like worth a play if you're into that sort of thing.
I had no idea you were such a massive nerd.
My uncle, so if I keep saying WoW, if you don't know what WoW is, it's World of Warcraft. My uncle was like one of like world first raiders back in like when the game came out in 2004, and then I would watch him, and then I've had my own account since like 2008, so I've been playing for it's like on and off for like since then. It's just such like a comfort thing for me.
Yeah, I've never played it. I did play the Elder Scrolls Online for a while. I don't play online games though, because everyone's always better than me. Like, I have memories of trying to play Call of Duty online and just be like, right, I'm just gonna like edge out from behind this tube. Oh, I've been domed in the head. Okay, well, I've respawned. Right, I'm just gonna like poke my head out of this. Oh, I've been killed. Right, it was just never fun for me.
Yeah, I think when it comes to MMOs, once people have like put time into WoW specifically, because it is like when you die, you don't lose everything.
Yeah.
When you're spending hours playing a game, it just feels so much more validating and not a waste of your time. Obviously, there's like hardcore versions of it, but I don't know, every other MMO I've tried, it just really doesn't compare, because I mean, WoW's been the most popular MMO since 2004 for a reason, right? I don't know, but that's what I've been doing.
Do you like a big like open world game?
Yes, like I've got like friends from over the years who I play with, but a lot of the time I will just find new people to play with, which has been it's kind of fun because you're meeting new people all the time, but also like WoW has kind of shifted. It used to be super you go out and play with anyone, but nowadays it's become a lot more. There is an option to do single player stuff, which I don't love as much, which is why there's like the classic versions of the game now, which I will play from time to time to get that vibe again. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's sometimes you just don't want to talk, or you just want to chill. And I think that's what's good about WoW, because there is so many things you can do now. It's such a fucking big game. um, and sometimes I just want to go collect my pretty horses.
That is my issue, I find, with a lot of big games, is there's just nothing to do. It's why I was really excited for the new Assassin's Creed DLC, because I was like, oh, it's going to finish the story. And there was just nothing to do. They just make these huge, huge worlds, and they're like, you can collect some flags, and also you can go out and kill some guys. And you've got like 500 square miles to do it in, and it's just so boring. It's why I love Cyberpunk, because there is so much to do. And I think that's fun. And maybe having friends to do it with makes it different. I'll never know because I'm too scared of online games. I'll never know.
I mean, when I play Fortnite with my brother, and sometimes I'll play it by myself as well, there's the new proximity chat thing, which terrifies me. I just couldn't, I couldn't do that at all.
I mean, I wouldn't play Fortnite with that on, because it's just going to be children screaming memes I don't understand. So
Well, they do that, but it's more so if I'm in like the top two, I will be yelling, trying to stay alive. And it's quite embarrassing because I can't. Like I did actually when I got this new PC, I was like, "Oh, download Fortnite and try it." And I did a game a day, and I won both. And then I kind of lost the streak on day 3, so I have not touched it
it's too far
since.
gone for me now. I've never played Fortnite.
I
I've never
didn't I
played it.
didn't start playing it until last year, so
I feel
I
like
was
it's just too
behind
far
there.
gone. Too far gone. Anyway, I suppose that leads me to say thank you so much for listening to this episode of Fiction Friction. William, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me at Bill Reads on TikTok or Bill Reads LOL on Instagram because Bill Reads was taken.
And you can find me at joe.reads on TikTok and joe.reads with 2 S's because Joe Reads with 1 S was taken. If you have anything you would like to say to the podcast, if you have some books maybe that you would like to see adapted or some adaption do-overs that you would like to bring to our attention, you can email us at fictionfrictionpod@gmail.com. And you can also find us on Instagram at fiction... I can't even say the name of our own podcast. Fiction Friction Pod on Instagram. And I suppose that also leads us to say thank you for listening and goodbye. William, are you going to say goodbye?
Oh, bye.